As dawn breaks over the sands of the ludus, the first torch flickers to life. Below its hesitant glow, men rise from straw pallets, their hard-won sinews shackled in chains that clank like iron death bells. Here, under the shadow of ancient Rome, ambition is forged alongside fear. Recruits who once dreamed of glory now face the harsh reality of their chosen fate, training ceaselessly with wooden swords while adrenaline mingles with the morning chill. Each sunrise marks a roll call of survival as whispers of pulmentarius echo through stone chambers, every name a testament to a fight not yet won. This was a gladiator's day. Venture with me into the dawn of a gladiator's day, where the first light creeps silently across the Roman horizon, only to be met with the abrupt clanging of iron chains. This jarring symphony of metal against metal signals, mourning in the world of the gladiator, an existence both feared and revered. Here under the protective walls of the ludus, lives revolve around combat, bound by chains both literal and metaphorical. The cool morning air holds the scent of dew, tinged with a more permanent aroma of sweat and earth, as these men awaken to a reality far removed from our own, where survival is the only gospel. Picture the harshness of their awakening, discordant and unruly, as iron links grate and rattle, tearing through the remnants of sleep with unfeeling precision. Seneca once painted a stark portrait of recruits who leapt from sleep at the clank of their own fetters, a sound that echoes through the corridors as a stark reminder that every day in the ludus begins with the same unforgiving tune. There is no room for dreams here, only the bleak drum of reality. This deliberate cacophony ensures that any weakness is left behind, replaced by a wariness essential for surviving another day of brutal training, where only the mightiest endure. Imagine the omnipresence of chains, cold, unyielding reminders of each gladiator's status as both warrior and slave. Within these walls, bondage is a constant, unrelenting presence. Gladiators carry the weight of their own oppression, a physical manifestation of their mental shackles. These chains are not only restraints, but regulators of life, setting a rhythm that synchronizes breathing, movement, and thought. The clinking of iron becomes a cruel yet consistent companion, orchestrating the soundtrack of each gladiator's life, a beat that demands adherence, bowing to the discipline imposed by the lanista. As dawn fully breaks, rows of men line up, breaths visible in the crisp air, each face a testament to resilience and resolve. This roll call is more than ceremonial. It cements the hierarchy within the gladiator school. Instructors and the formidable lanista survey the assembly, their scrutinizing gaze ferreting out signs of strength and weariness. Each man stands uneasily, acclimated to the weighted expectation of his chains, poised yet burdened by the dual role of warrior and captive. Within this austere gathering lies a mosaic of stories, whispered through expressions of defiance, humility, and the iron sternness of survival. The walls of the ludus carry their own tales, etched through graffiti left by those who have walked these paths before. As sunlight inches into every corner, these scribbles become illuminated dialogue, CIL 63873 among them, each marking a testament to the hopes, vanities, and mundane thoughts of fighters. Here in these markings, lives echo across time, rendered in simple yet profound signatures that capture moments of glory and despair. These etchings sketch a collective memory, a documented history of the warriors who lived and died by their swords. Training proceeds as the sun rises higher, an unrelenting cycle of drills designed to test every man's limits. Morning exercises push gladiators to transcend fatigue and discomfort, honing their bodies for the lethal dance within the arena. What might appear monotonous to the uninitiated is a measure of dedication and a testament to the gladiator's evolution, each stroke a precise movement of survival. Under the stern gaze of veteran instructors, each participant prepares not for triumph or acclaim, but for the privilege of life itself. Here, in these everyday trials, lies a fierce camaraderie, born of shared bruises and scars, uniting these men against a common adversary, oblivion. The ritual of morning drills unfolds in a spectacle as venerable as the arena's sands, a daily regimen described by ancient scribbles. This practice shapes gladiators into steeled warriors, weathered by both the sun's unyielding heat and the wolves of self-doubt. Envision the rhythmic clash of wooden swords against firm posts, a meditation in motion, set against the solemn march of time. This is survival's theatre, a stage where wisdom and resilience are crafted under the uncompromising gaze of history. A relentless narrative transforming each soul within its bounds. Hierarchy pervades the ludus, a microcosm reflecting Rome's societal structure, where status governs privilege and obligation. A gladiator's rank sets the measure for everything. Veterans crowned by past victories command respect and authority, serving as reluctant mentors or relentless taskmasters. Even amongst the fighters, a more clandestine hierarchy exists, shaped by the influences of negotiation and silent cunning. These gladiators weave their own threads of power, tasked with duties that ensure their significance within the school's order. As the day draws to a close and the sky blushes with sunset hues, thoughts wander inevitably to tomorrow. The ever-present demands of training drown each man's fatigue into the rhythm of routine. Time ticks away, not by the hour, but through cycles of exertion and anticipation, confirming the omnipresence of future battles. As darkness falls, a brief respite from the day's strictness enhances the fleeting pleasures of friendship, shared stories and camaraderie. These stolen moments are ritualistic, softening hardships and nurturing bonds hardened by shared strife. Here exists a life subject to an unyielding cycle, a life measured not by grand triumphs, but by the endurance cultivated under the lifeless gaze of chains and steel. In the early morning haze, as dawn's light spilled faintly over the walls of Rome's grand Colosseums and ludus barracks, gladiators rose to face yet another day, destined for both toil and survival. Their very existence was forged on the hard edge of combat, and what often went unnoticed was the silent, relentless mechanism that sustained them: their diet. The gladiatorial diet was strange yet surmised with intent, an array of humble ingredients like barley porridge, forming the core of their sustenance. Considered by the Romans to be a simple yet efficient fuel, this porridge was replete with carbohydrates, an essential source of energy and resilience, propelling them through fierce drills and bloody combats. Barley was not alone. The gladiators also relied heavily on beans, rich in protein, a key component in the arduous act of building and repairing muscle, imparting to them the brutal strength necessary for the arena. The unorthodox combination of foods conferred upon these warriors a formidable physicality that had contemporary observers dubbing them barley men. But strength and prowess were not their sole objectives. The famous Greek physician Galen, who chronicled much of Roman life, noted that the dietary choices went beyond mere sustenance to enhance bone density and fortitude. Together, these components mightily shaped their physique, rendering them not just athletes but extraordinary instruments of battle, remarkably resilient to the bruises and breaks of gladiatorial life. Yet behind this muscular display, the daily preparation of these meals remained a somewhat uncelebrated affair, overseen by key figures like the pulmentarius or bean stew boy, whose moniker was found engraved upon an ancient strigil. These culinary assistants wielded ladles with the precision of swords, assembling dishes designed to enhance a fighter's performance. Their meal prep bordered on an art form, seamlessly blending science with resources readily available, transforming barley, beans and boar fat into sustenance rich enough to fortify a gladiator. The smoky kitchens hummed with the aroma of mingling ingredients, crafted into savoury dishes that would fill gladiators with strength and hope, bodies as much battle-ready as the weapons they brandished. This regimen was not mere routine, but a calculated science of nutrition, grounded in the rudimentary understanding of balance, long before such principles were formally recognised. Barley provided necessary energy, while beans fortified muscles. Such practices highlight how these warriors were viewed as high-performance entities, driven by a well-crafted symbiosis of diet and stamina. Galen's writings captured this, portraying how food served as a systematic catalyst for the brutal spectacles the Roman public so eagerly consumed. Observations of Ephesus gladiator remains revealed an exceptional bone density, hinting at a carefully maintained diet rich in calcium, likely through an assortment of legumes and perhaps other elements not well documented, but nevertheless ensuring their bodies thrived under relentless physical demands. This diet was, however, steeped in more than practical purposes. Rituals and superstitions wove through their mealtime choices, reflecting a belief in divine influences on their fates. Gladiators ate more than they consumed. They followed rites that promised strength or courage, be it through specific foods deemed to hold mystical properties or dishes aligned with certain lunar phases. Such practices illuminate the weight of superstition, echoing ancient convictions that food could sway deities toward kindness or favour, embedding each meal with metaphysical significance. The idea of sustaining life extended beyond mere logistics. It was laden with social hierarchies and privileges. Star gladiators, often promised greater rewards through their prowess and popularity, received dietary distinctions. They indulged in meats more frequently, trolling through flavour and abundance their lesser comrades only dreamed of. For the less renowned, standard fare remained the sole offering, functional yet bland. The stratification within these regimens underscores the permeable influence of society's class divisions, mirroring the broader landscape of Roman stature and worth. Occasionally, meat entered their diet, an indulgence rather than the norm, yet vitally important. Pork especially, known for its ceremonious symbolism and Roman favour, found its way into stews enriched with herbs, elevating basic sustenance into morale-boosting feasts. Such moments not only refueled their bodies, but also touched on deeper traditions, nodding to themes of sacrifice and survival embedded within Rome's gladiatorial culture. Beyond the confines of their immediate sustenance lay the public's curiosity, hinting at the spectacle of their diet. Vendors and society whispered of the secrets behind the gladiators' regimens, as these warriors became curiosities beyond their violent performance. People aspired to taste what fueled civilization's fiercest athletes, emulating snippets of their dietary lives in taverns and stalls. The allure of the gladiator transcended the sand of the Colosseum, weaving into the fabric of Roman life, compelling ordinary citizens to partake in, or at least taste, the legend. Though an ancient past, the legacy these gladiatorial diets etched into history sparks reflection today. They reveal not only survival strategies, but also civilization's primitive grasp of nourishment and strength. This distilled cocktail of food as sustenance, symbol, and science endures, painting indelible marks where muscle and myth meet, influencing our own views on vitality and resilience. Herein lies a testament to shared human endeavours. An evolutionary dance where each meal laid the groundwork for greatness, intertwined with impermanence in every beat of ancient history. Before the sun crests the horizon, the Gladiator School, or ludus, stirs with life. Lanterns flicker in the dim light, and trainers murmur in hushed tones, plotting the trials of the day. The gladiators, still stiff from yesterday's rigours on straw pallets, rise with a mix of apprehension and determination. Each morning brings them another step closer to the arena, where their fate is etched in blood and sand. As they prepare, the air is thick with an understanding that this ritual of readiness is essential for survival's dance. The tranquility of the early hours fades as gladiators gather in the training yard. Here the clinking of wooden swords, or rudi, cuts through the dawn. Though seemingly harmless, these weighted practice weapons are heavier than their iron counterparts, demanding precision and strength. The yard comes alive with urgency, transitioning into a cacophony of shouts, clashing wood, and the muted thud of blows against practice posts. The light of day amplifies the intensity of their efforts. The rudis, more than just a training tool, symbolises the journey of every gladiator. It is a vessel of learning, demanding respect and endurance, a bridge linking them to a lineage of warriors. Vegetius chronicled this training as vital for shaping recruits who are dangerous without themselves being endangered. Practice posts like silent foes at places such as Carnuntum bear the gouges of battle drills, each mark a testament to the determination and spirit of men honing their craft, pushing them closer to mastering violence without shedding blood. This training yard is not merely a school, it is a stage where mastery over life and death is rehearsed. Here, they repeat brutal, yet sacred drills with an intensity that strips away fear and weakness. Trainers, themselves veterans of the arena, bark commands that blend authority with urgent care. Their assessments are critical. A slight misstep could be the line between life and death. Yet, beneath this stern facade lies a mentorship born of shared trials, as trainers impart not just skills, but a creed of survival. Within this charged environment, camaraderie blooms. Bonds form invisibly, yet strongly between men marked by training's shared trials. Each swing of the rudis forms unspoken conversations of friendship amid rivalry. This brotherhood is shadowed by the reality that they may one day face each other in combat. Nonetheless, the shared swings, bruises, and sweat cement their unity. Stranger turns to kin, and amidst whispered jokes and guarded smiles, they forge a family not by blood but by the binding knowledge that life is fleeting and fragile. Veterans of the arena move among them, with stories etched in their flesh. These men carry echoes of past battles, walking emblems of survival, whose tales inspire the recruits. Juvenal's quip, "Splinters draw first blood," humorously points to the significance of experience, as these seasoned fighters offer anecdotes rich with lessons of courage, retreat, and survival amid life's absurdities. Their stories provide recruits with more than strategies. They offer glimpses into the warrior's soul, where strength of spirit is as prized as strength of arm. The ludus serves as both security and trial. It delivers no mortal wounds, yet the splinters that draw first blood signify the internal battle against fear. Its grip is a clutch at hope, as each swoosh through the air voices defiance against doubt and dread. Through relentless practice, recruits learn to extinguish fear, transforming it into confidence and control over fate, facing the spectre of death within the mundane motions of their daily grind. It's here that a gladiator conquers fear through technique, willpower, and acceptance of his path. Standing at the helm are the trainers, embodiments of both authority and mentorship, their roles extending beyond mere instruction. They mould men into warriors with a blend of demanding discipline and inspiring resilience. Their tutelage fosters ingenuity, guiding recruits and balancing risk with deadly precision. Commands woven with ancient wisdom fortify each man's ardour with technique. And within relentless sun and driving rain, the trainer's creed echoes, "In blood or in glory, there is honour." Anticipation is an art every gladiator masters. Beyond wielding a sword, he learns to read an opponent's shift in weight, foreseeing not just deadly strikes but decisions that shape survival. This skill is sharpened in the ludus, where recruits study under veteran eyes, absorbing the wisdom needed to hear dangers approach. They train in timing, strategic deception, and agility, mastering the ability to predict hesitancy or aggression, turning instinctual fears into calculated advantages within arena combat. Daily they partake in a theatre of strategy, mind clashing with mind. Herein lies the realm of deception and reflex, where cunning melds with reflexes honed to spiritual precision. Recruits engage in mock duels, where victory involves psychological manipulation and exploiting openings beyond what eyes can see. Each exercise refines their ability to adapt and predict, until strategy and reflex merge into a seamless act, a wooden swords dance under the sun's gaze on the dusty training grounds. Amidst this pursuit of excellence, a quiet virtue emerges: humility. Training's rigour teaches gladiators to respect their craft and those who guide them. Bravado in the arena courts danger, while humility earns grace and survival. Each small victory in the training yard becomes a testament to mastered limits and the art's potential. These achievements, though personal and collective, foster a humble ethos necessary for glory amidst inevitable mortality. This humility armour fortifies against arrogance's pitfalls, enriching the resolve to face life and death as a gladiator. In the world of the ancient gladiator, the shift from wooden practice weapons to cold, deadly steel was more than a matter of equipment. It was a turning point both physically and mentally. As first light broke over the sandy expanse of the arena, the gladiators stood on the precipice of a new reality, where the stakes morphed from training triumphs to life and death struggles. Wooden swords, or rudis, had long served as instruments of instruction, fostering skills and discipline without the sinister promise of fatality. But with the approval of the lanista, the school's master, the move to iron marked a rite of passage that resonated deeply within each fighter's soul. It was a watershed moment heralding not only the glamour of combat, but the stark reminder of mortality's omnipresence. Ceremonies across the gladiatorial schools were varied, yet consistently infused with gravity, overseen by the seasoned eyes of the lanista. This transition was as much a celebration of prowess as it was a sombre acknowledgement of a gladiator's lethal capacity. Each clang of metal that rang through the practice walls served to remind them of the lethal confrontation that awaited. The choices presented, whether to kill, wound, or simply disarm, forced gladiators not only to grapple with the technical demands of their new role, but also with profound ethical dilemmas, transforming the arena into a stage where humanity wrestled with instinct. Learning to wield steel with skill meant embracing techniques that the rudies could not fully impart. With their true weapons now weighted and sharp, gladiators had to hone their techniques beyond fundamental maneuvers of attack and defense. The subtleties of balance, grip, and momentum required a complete recalibration of their fighting instincts. This transition demanded acute awareness, as the difference between triumph and tragedy often hinged on the smallest miscalculations. Yet the sand beneath them was as much an adversary as the opponent before them, lending traction or turning traitor in a moment. Each bout was a canvas of strategy, revealing that gladiatorial combat valued agility and intellect as greatly as strength. The emotional journey was equally transformative. Few entered the arena unmarked by fear, their thoughts shadowed by the expectation and eternal anxiety of the sands. Whether a volunteer seeking redemption or a slave bound by fate, each gladiator stood bound by anticipation's tightening grip before the rallying crowd. Here the sound of steel pulling on their nerves was constant, each clash echoing the rhythm of their fear-fueled hearts. The dread of mortality seethed beneath the roars, demanding resilience and focus in a world where public favour mediated life's continuance. Beyond the public eye, within the barracks and out of view, the scars acquired in combat whispered tales of survival and resolve. Each gladiator's body became a living ledger, inscribed with stories of near misses and victorious stands. These scars were more profound than mere remnants of injury. They were badges of experience, traced into each person's history and perceived strength. To peers and onlookers alike, the rich tapestry of these marks sung of past battles, exhaling both caution and triumph with every silent glance. Guiding the warriors on this perilous stage were the veteran instructors, warriors turned teachers, who wielded a blend of stern discipline and unshakable resolve. Having survived the same trials, their understanding was a hard-earned currency, shaping a new generation with relentless precision. This relationship, born of shared trials and collective experience, was intense, marked by admiration and trepidation. They knew all too well that survival came not from muscle alone, but from understanding, resilience, and the mastery of fear. Surrounding this gritty reality were legends and lore that transformed the arena into a place of myth as much as blood. These tales, awash with accounts of miraculous survivals and victories against impossible odds, wove an epic around the serious business of combat. Such stories transcended fatality and echoes of steel, mingling truth with myth in a narrative that elevated gladiators from mere fighters to heroes of unmatchable lore. Every match was an intricate chess game, dictated by tactics, adaptability, and a sharp understanding of the relentless tempo of battle. Within these confines, gladiators used every tactic, predicting opponents' actions in a predictive dance choreographed by subtle shifts and incalculable intuition. Here in the tumult of swords and shouts, spectators found not just a fight, but a performance, dangerous and enchanting, where unpredictability ruled and steel against sand wove stories destined to outlast memory. The lanista, as master strategist, stood as both puppeteer and protector, weaving the spectacle and the tale, mastering the ebb and flow between glory and peril. Their intricate dance orchestrated the fate of their combatants, ensuring the spectacle remained thrilling and vile, a conflict as much for the mind as for the body. As the day drew to a close, the weight of combat settled heavily as gladiators returned to their quarters. Amidst the quiet murmurings of the barracks, camaraderie and mutual respect rose from shared trials and glories. Embraced by the tranquility that followed chaos, these warriors eased into nightfall with stories and reflections, the whisper of past battles lingering like the distant roar of the crowd, a testament to resilience forged in the hard heat of conflict's embrace. In the formidable world of the Roman arena, gladiators lived on a knife's edge, where every clash of steel was a testament to their resolve and endurance. Their lives, entwined with the perils of combat, demanded an unwavering acceptance of pain and injury. The arena was their battleground, and their bodies were both weapons and shields. Each day resounded with the cacophony of combat, blades slicing the air, and the ominous crunch of bone against iron. These encounters left visible scars, while others were buried deep beneath the skin, reminding them of their own fragility. A broken arm or fractured rib was not just an injury, it was a stark reminder of the fine line between life and death. In a world where strength and skill determined survival, weakness had no place. Enter the Medici, the ancient custodians of healing whose role was vital in this relentless cycle of violence. These early combat physicians were as essential as the gladiators' weapons, wielding their knowledge to repair the physical toll of the games. They were far more than mere men patching up wounds. They were architects of resilience, restoring warriors to the sands as quickly as possible. In an age where life precariously balanced on the edge of a sword, these practitioners performed feats of healing that defied the norms of their time, embodying the resourcefulness of Rome itself. In the Medicus's chamber, battered fighters underwent transformations, emerging renewed from the trauma of battle. This domain, far from the calm of modern hospitals, was equipped with tools resembling those of an artisan, bone saws and scalpels made of iron and bronze. Galen's surgical kit from Pergamon offers us a window into their practices, illustrating the Romans' pursuit of medical understanding. The comparison to blacksmiths mending broken weapons was no accident. To their handlers, gladiators were valuable investments. Techniques borrowed from Greek influences and local traditions formed a body of knowledge that was both innovative and chilling by modern standards. The methods of these Medici, a blend of necessity and invention, showcase their prowess. Setting bones was a practical art, at times simply realigning fractures or employing intricate techniques with pins or wires, as evidenced by skeletal remains in York. Pain management, rudimentary at best, included opium and tinctures to dull the agony of treatment, while vinegary antiseptics warded off infection. The Medicus's tent embodied a harsh juxtaposition of mercy and misery, emphasising Rome's brutal efficiency in its entertainment's machinations, a place where bodies became physical manifestations of valour and the imperatives of spectacle. The story of every gladiator was written not only in the scars visible on their skin, but deeply etched in the bones that endured countless skirmishes. Archaeological findings such as intricately healed ulnar fractures secured with bronze wire serve as silent testimonies to the resilience these gladiators exhibited and the care they received. These skeletal records offer a visceral glimpse into the arduous life they led, revealing a narrative punctuated by repeated injuries and survival efforts, where even in moments of respite, they were engulfed in the quiet battle of endurance against perpetual injury. As the Medici straddled two worlds, those of saviours and opportunists, they navigated the complex tapestry of Roman hierarchy. Classical training meshed with battlefield demands, imbuing them with a unique precision that balanced empathy and detachment. In a society celebrating the valour of combat, the Medici's gritty task was to ensure fighters returned to the arena with minimal vulnerabilities. Their dual roles as healers and custodians of survival underscored their vital presence in the gladiatorial ecosystem. Injuries sustained during the brutal clashes of the arena were often overshadowed by those lurking in the unrelenting grind of daily training. Wooden posts and bamboo targets honed the gladiators' skills, but exacted a toll, with splinters, sprains and stress fractures threatening their readiness for combat. This harsh training was both a necessary proving ground and a perilous dance with fatal consequences, demanding meticulous management to preserve their fighting capacity. The Medici's role extended beyond momentary repairs, holding paramount importance in ensuring gladiators returned to peak condition. The presence of skilled Medici and the investment in their services underscored the immense value gladiators held in ancient Rome. As ephemeral assets, their worth was determined not only by popularity, but their enduring ability. The demands of the Roman populace, fascinated by the brutality of combat, dictated the level of care lavished upon these warriors. Gladiators represented a significant investment, their survival key to sustaining the spectacle and justifying the considerable medical expenses involved. The Medici's expertise drew from an evolving legacy, a fusion of Greek tradition and Roman pragmatism, forged through a lineage of medical wisdom. Influenced by earlier treatises and practical experiences, they contributed to a tradition that extended beyond the roar of the Colosseum. This legacy of healing, though shadowed by ethical questions of expedience and survival, remains a testament to humanity's tenacity, bridging ancient and modern understanding in the intricate dance of combat and care. In the relentless rhythm of a gladiator's day, where each sunrise greets the clinking of chains and the echo of commands, the midday lull offers a brief yet cherished sanctuary. After hours filled with grueling drills and the weight of survival's heavy cloak, this intermission becomes a haven for both mind and body, a chance to sit under the shaded eaves of the barracks, savour a simple meal, and allow the body to rejuvenate, a moment of peace amidst the chaos of their brash existence. But this pause is more than physical respite. It is a fertile ground for camaraderie, and fleetingly dissolves the strict hierarchies that otherwise govern their lives. Here, amidst murmured tales and shared laughter, even the most hardened veterans and the newest recruits find common ground. Stories of distant lands, families left behind, and dreams of freedom weave their way into conversations, humanising these fighters who so often appear as mere commodities of combat. In these moments of deceptive calm, they patch the torn fabric of their humanity, rediscovering fragments of life beyond the arena's harsh glare. As shadows lengthen across the sandy ground, the rattle of dice becomes the afternoon soundtrack. Games of chance spring to life, with lead dice rolling in the dust and the potential for fortunes to shift with each turn. These games offer more than mere amusement. They hold the promise of small victories, an extra crust of bread or a treasured cup of wine, bringing a taste of freedom to those shackled by fate. Success requires not just luck, but a keen eye and a mind sharpened by strategy. Martial, the biting poet of the era, famously quipped that even the most undefeated of warriors could fall to the whims of chance, highlighting the melodic dance between gambled victories and the capriciousness of fortune. Yet the lure of these diversions is too great to resist, offering a different kind of reward than the ruthless arena. Beyond chance and strategy, laughter fills these midday hours. Gathering in small groups, gladiators exchange jests as eagerly as insights into their diverse heritages, forging bonds that transcend backgrounds. A wooden stylus inscribed with "Ridet" stands as a testament to humour's power, urging gladiators to find laughter even when grim realities loom. This humour, often edged with darkness, cuts through the monotony of their life, offering levity and a quiet act of defiance against their bondage. In these moments they carve humour from grim realities, using it as a shield against the creeping despair that lurks outside the barracks' shaded confines. As dice and jokes fade into the afternoon, a quieter communion emerges, a time for dreaming and contemplation. Gladiators, reclining on straw pallets, allow visions of distant homes and kinder futures to wash over them. These reveries transport them far from the sand and sweat of the ludus, painting worlds untouched by the brutal demands of the arena. For those far from home, these reflections offer a tether to their roots, drawing them back to familiar landscapes and cherished faces. Despite their chains, their minds roam free, untouched by the bars that hold their bodies. In these midday moments, language also weaves a rich tapestry, creating a mosaic of diversity that knits these men together beyond the bounds of combat. Dialects and gestures flow between gladiators, binding them with threads of understanding that transcend spoken words. Connections blossom in the shared silences, and non-verbal cues become a vital means of communication, mirroring the intense bonds forged through shared hardship. Satire and irony permeate the air, with Marshall's epigrams echoing through conversations, providing a sardonic reflection on the absurdity of their lives. These verses, recited with gusto, turn despair into humour, allowing gladiators to confront their reality boldly. In a world steeped in uncertainty, the satirist's sharp tongue is both a balm and a mirror, shedding light on the absurd yet unyielding truth of existence. Midday lulls also serve as a time for personal rituals, where gladiators find solace in meditative practices that centre their minds for the battles ahead. Whether through rhythmic breathing, whispered mantras, or silent reflections, they prepare themselves as thoroughly for mental duels as for physical ones. These moments of introspection ground them, nurturing their spirits and offering resilience amidst the chaos of their profession. Yet always, the shadow of fate remains, an omnipresent reminder of mortality's grasp. The foreboding truth lingers in the background, shaping their midday thoughts with layers of introspection. This awareness doesn't stifle, but rather ignites a fire of defiant vitality, urging them to grasp every precious moment with vigour and intensity. These gladiators, locked in a constant dance with destiny, form a unique fraternity where shared struggles foster a deep sense of kinship. In these midday interludes, they nurture this bond, crafting a fragile yet powerful sense of family. Here, amidst the dust and dice, they find and share wisdom, hard-earned tales of survival, codified through the lens of experience, imparted to bolster the next warrior ready to face the fray. In this silence following laughter and respite, a greater understanding unfolds, binding them tightly, each to each, in the shared tapestry of survival. The first light of dawn creeps over the gladiator barracks, slipping through the gaps and casting flickering shadows on the cold steel beneath. Within the quiet anticipation, gladiators emerge, stepping into their fateful ritual of armament selection, a ritual that binds them to destiny's intricate and often cruel web. They stand before the tally board, where marks indicate who will face whom, Sector against Retiarius, Mumio against Thracian. These pairings whisper of individual destinies, each choice a silent step closer to either glory or doom in the sandy amphitheatre of life and death. This isn't merely a selection of weapons, it's an entry into a dance where one misstep might mean oblivion. The atmosphere is heavy with expectation as gladiators handle their armaments. The clang of metal echoes softly, a helmet lifted here, a chest piece strapped there. This isn't about the strength of the metal alone. It's about synergy, the melding of man and instrument. Tallies carved on boards evoke a calculus of survival strategies. Questions arise. Which weighted net counters a plumed helmet best? Or how might one sword's heft flip fate over on its unsuspecting head? Superstition coats every decision like dust in this ancient world, where choices crackle with dread and determination. The helmet central to a gladiator's identity transforms mere men into mythic figures. Each one is meticulously crafted, turning its wearer into both an object of fear and a symbol of resilience. Some helmets gleam with vibrant cinnabar, as artifacts and tablets attest, used perhaps to blind an opponent when struck by the sun. Here substance meets spectacle. Even the impracticality of a flamboyant plume serves a purpose, catching both wind and eye. These helmets aren't mere garments. They hold whispers from time's edge. Slip into a helm, and a gladiator wears a new face, etched with fear, valour, and the grim hand of fate. A gladiator's shield does more than protect. It speaks of identity and legacy. Each shield is imbued with stories carved into its surface, names whispered in legends. The scutum, thick and solid for secutors, serves like a protective shell, while the nimble palmer allows retiari agile manoeuvres. The artisans who create these shields are akin to poets, shaping them with reverent precision. Veteran fighters know that angle matters, that anticipation can deflect a strike with minimal effort. Yet the paradox persists. A shield symbolises protection in an arena designed for violence. In contrast, the retiaria stands apart with light gear, a trident and a net, an almost poetic figure within the bloody canvas of the arena. This gladiator's strategy isn't about strength, but agility and cunning. The net becomes an extension of himself, a chance to snare an opponent, to assert control on the chaos. The trident, like Neptune's sceptre, wields both danger and divinity. It speaks with its prongs, as much as the spaces between them tell of fate's caprice. Often scorned by armoured peers, the Retiarius proves time and again that even the slightest net, deftly wielded, can shape a story of triumph. Gladi and spears extend beyond weapons. They are lifelines, manifestations of Mars himself. Each swing whispers ancient elegies, vows of intent within battle's crucible. The gladius, small but lethal, contrasts with the longer spatha. Swords become their master's third limbs. Like sentient beings, they demand seamless blends of acumen and artistry, acting not just as tools, but as true extensions of the soul. Armour cloaks the gladiator within a symphony of chain and leather, a necessary burden marking each step with its weight. Catalogued by historians, styles vary, fitted precisely to a fighter's class. The Mumio wears fish-like motifs, Samnites don imposing armour, provocators are heavily padded, each ensemble a statement of personal struggle against destiny's might. The irony is evident. More armour means more protection, but less freedom. A decision that perches between security and peril. Weapon classifications paint broad strokes over gladiatorial identity. Each type emerges from a particular ethos, anchoring fighters within Roman lore. Gladiators see these roles as badges of pride, despite whispers of derision at hierarchy's fringes. A dance of diversity, as secretive as the sands of the arena itself. Behind these instruments lie the artistry of the arsenalists. The resurrection of iron into instruments of war is their legacy. Each clang of the forge, a melody of fire. Every artifact they create bridges the realms of practicality and myth, devoted to a cultural legacy that dances dangerously close to the edge of survival. Rituals entwine within this realm of armament, with gladiators invoking spirits in whispered incantations. Each piece anointed, each curse etched, beseeching protection from beyond. As dawn rises, the full weight of the armoury presses against their skin. It's not just physical, it's mental steel, honed by fear and bravery, moulded into one entity. With each heart thrumming, they know the arena awaits, with its fierce promise to shape legends amidst life's final breaths. Each step forward is imbued with mythic expectancy, under the gaze of history unfolding, the clang of metal under stars' vigil, guiding human stories pressed fervently against the fabric of time. The parade to the arena was more than just a prologue to brutal games. It was a spectacle of its own, steeped in tradition and foreboding. Imagine the streets of Rome, alive with anticipation, as the murmurs of the gathering crowd escalated into a roar of excitement and dread. Gladiators, shackled together for security, marched through these streets under the watchful gaze of their handlers. The dust raised by their passing feet merged with the clamour of parade gongs, which ominously proclaimed, "The crowd closes in." This sound was both a beacon and an omen, heralding rituals sanctified by entertainment and death. As the gladiators trudged along, their presence was marked not only by the aroma of sweat and iron, but also by the scent of saffron water applied onto their bodies. According to Pliny the Elder, this aromatic preparation was meant to ensure they smell sweet at their own funeral. More than practicality, it symbolised life's fragile sweetness confronting death's certainty. The streets filled with citizens, peasants and patricians alike, who gathered to witness this morbid pageantry. In a few hours, these men, both victims and victors, would transform into whispered legends retold by the fireside, their stories immortalised by the spectacle of bravery and fate. Amidst the procession of warriors lay an even grimmer narrative, the march of bound prisoners also destined for the arena, but without glory. The Colchester vase captures this procession's sombre truth, where fettered prisoners, perhaps resigned to their fate, accompanied their comrades. For some, this march might have seemed more a release than a horror, signalling their final embrace with death. These prisoners represented a diverse collection of humanity. Some were former soldiers from distant lands, others were condemned criminals from Rome. Their presence reminded the crowd of the grim stakes at play. Spectators might engage with these unfortunate souls through pity, disdain, or veneration. The drama of the parade heightened the anticipation for the imminent games, underscoring the stark reality where life and death teetered on the edge amidst a cacophony of cries and applause. Beyond a pragmatic gesture, the tradition of perfuming with saffron was imbued with Roman pathos, a fragrant farewell for those who may meet their end in the arena. Pliny chronicled this ritual not just as a curiosity, but as a window into the intertwining of sensory experience and spectacle in Roman society. The saffron's bittersweet fragrance rendered the parade a dreamlike mixture of elegance and brutality, a lavish scent juxtaposed against the arena's stark reality. The marching gladiators, cloaked in this spicy scent, stepped onto the sands as ephemeral symbols where bravery and fate intertwined in an intoxicating dance. The gathering populace imbued the parade with life, their presence a crucial component of this grand theatre. The gong's echo amplified the crowd's size, transforming the streets into a living tableau as merchants, slaves, senators, and scribes converged. The parade underscored the social fabric, a shared experience that transcended societal roles through a desire for captivating narratives of survival and mortality. The presence of the crowd was as significant as the gladiators themselves, with the parade serving as both a transition and an overture, connecting humanity to the tales of valour and sacrifice about to unfold. Within the din, the gladiators were alone with their thoughts, ensconced in a public spectacle, yet undertaking a personal pilgrimage. Here were men shifting from anonymity to objects of public intrigue, casting off the shadows of obscurity to embrace fleeting glory. Each step in the parade bore silent prayers, hopes for a swift fate, strategies to outwit doom, illustrating a profound unease beneath the mighty facade. This march served as an introspective pause, an auditory interlude filled with whispers swallowed by the noise and fate's relentless advance. Art echoed the parade's gravitas, capturing its layered narrative in sculptures and engravings like the Colchester vase, which immortalised the event's dual nature of honour and inevitable demise. Artworks embodied this societal ceremony, embodying narratives of bravery and tragedy recorded in clay and stone. They provided a testament to both the culture's brutality and artistry, a collective memory vibrations vibrating across history's folds. As they moved from the streets to the arena, participants traversed a liminal space, suspended between life's banality and the arena's frenetic survival. This was not merely a physical journey, but a psychological odyssey into uncertainty. Crossing from familiar ground into the amphitheatre was a passage into a test of soul and body, guided by custom yet grounded in personal resilience. The climax awaited within the Colosseum's grandeur, its architecture a symbol of anticipation and dread. Here the march culminated in a leap of fate, an ironclad transformation from parade to practice, where gladiators emerged as protagonists in their own epic tales. The symbolic weight of their chains lingered even as they stepped across the threshold, entering a space where bravery turned into legacy amidst ancient echoes and timeless expectations. In that arena, gladiators faced more than mere combat. They plunged into life's greatest gamble. Each performance could elevate them to heralded heights or bury them in obscurity. Their lives, laid bare before a sea of scrutinising eyes, became narratives etched by the moment's intensity. As the crowd, swept by emotions, bore witness to their saga, the performance revealed stark realities fueled by heroism and fate. A kaleidoscope of ambition and doom mingled in the Colosseum's sands, sealed within history's unyielding grip. Under the glaring sun, the Colosseum stood as both a marvel of Roman architecture and a chilling monument to its fascination with blood sport. This grand amphitheatre, the Flavian amphitheatre to those ancient eyes, housed between 50,000 and 80,000 expectant patrons, each swelling with a cocktail of excitement and fear. It was not merely an arena of death, it was an altar to Roman ideals, honour, courage, and the survival of the fittest. The inaugural spectacle famously spanned 100 days, a vivid declaration of imperial generosity and might, echoing the societal hunger for spectacle and the political manoeuvres of emperors to secure the people's favour. Below the arena's sand-laden surface stretched the hypodium, a concealed labyrinth of passageways and chambers. This intricate underworld of cages and hydraulic lifts ensured that wild beasts or combatants would erupt onto the sands in chaotic precision. As the trumpets blared their clarion call and cymbals sang sharp in the open air, the games began with a splendour befitting the narratives Rome held dear. Chaos brought to heel, civilization taming the wild, life daring death. Those gathered in the stands pursued more than mere entertainment. They sought the political and social drama of fates interwoven with the grit of the arena. Into this cauldron of anticipation marched the gladiators, each adorned in battle-scarred armour, each step a steadfast advance toward confrontation with mortality. Their procession, solemn yet charged with intensity, began with the Pompeii, a sombre parade of fighters and musicians. The crowd's roar and the relentless drumbeat echoed the gladiators' oscillating hopes of glory or finality. They hailed from varied backgrounds, enslaved men, prisoners of war, and those who chose the path as free men chasing reputation, each a bearer of fate's whimsy or ambition's fervour. To spectators, these combats transcended physicality. They were morality plays where the favour of gods and the resolve of men intertwined. The gladiators knew their trials tested not just their skill, but the very essence of their character. With each clash of swords under the noon sun, a whispered prayer of survival rose toward the heavens. Within the amphitheatre's walls, valour and cunning twined with divine caprice, all overseen by the looming will of the emperor. Among all those who sought the power of life and death within the arena, few figures loomed larger than Emperor Commodus. Claiming the embodiment of Hercules, he descended into the sand not merely for spectacle, but as a validation of self-perceived godhood. His audacious involvement both scandalised and thrilled, a puncture in the divine aura surrounding imperial duty. To fight before the people was to entwine himself with their moral universe, a physical declaration of the emperor's dominion over life. An enigma hidden behind a benign exterior of wine-sipping ease, while chaos unravelled below. Each glance of Commodus held profound gravity, for his thumb, held high or cast down, pronounced judgment with dizzying finality. Herein lay a paradox: sovereign mercy or instantaneous doom, proclaimed by one who straddled the mortal and the divine. The theatre of his presence, a dance of governance and fervour, played to the thrumming hearts of Rome, a manifestation of ruling through both admiration and fear. As the sand became a canvas of crimson, stained by struggle and artistry, spectators witnessed the delicate illusion of mortality's theatre. The red-tinted ground bore witness to human sacrifice and heroism, a dire tableau for the masses who relished the performance of their civilization at its apex. Life reframed within death's shadow. Through it all, combatants faced not just each other, but the existential truths of time and destiny. The ritualized judgments, echoed in the stereotyped polis verso, captivated imaginations. This gesture, not simply thumbs down, hinted at decisions made with unseen grace or grim certainty. The emperor's silent decree, a visual rapport with the crowd, reinforced Rome's hierarchy, justice and mercy emanating from Rome's heart, a singular embodiment of divine adjudication. As the throng echoed its sentiments, the boundaries of power subtly blurred. binding the populace in shared destiny and spectacle. Sounds of the venue, curated for maximal effect, imbued the air with tension and wonder. The Colosseum's acoustics amplified every clash and cry, every horn's blare a narrative punctuation. Amid steel's music, gladiatorial dance unfolded, craft within chaos, order and disorder swirled. Spectators engaged not only visually, but sensorially, enveloped within a soundscape that etched combat into memory, echoes that reverberated across Rome's enduring spirit. As the sun dipped, ending the day, each fallen fighter became a somber reminder of life's fragility. Victory and defeat measured not only warriors, but the ephemerality of existence itself. The dragging of bodies away from the bloodied sands spoke of valor's impermanence, stories woven into the human tapestry, no longer forgotten nor entirely remembered. The sand, absorbing the essence of concluded contests, evoked transience, a shadow play, a relentless march of time across histories written in blood and aims unmet. In these acts, survival hinged not just on might, but deft strategy and fortune's guise. Each manoeuvre choreographed to captivate, a gladiator's narrative crafted through seen and unseen foes, themselves students of the crowd, adept at courting favour. They swayed outcomes with the skill and fortune far beyond blade or shield. Melding intellect and brawn, these warriors enacted tales as layered and compelling as the annals of Rome, transcending their temporality, hinting at humanity's shared pursuit within this grand narrative, a testament to survival and spectacle forever interlinked. The sun had lowered its fiery gaze, casting long shadows across the barracks as the arena's din hushed into silence. For the gladiators, night did not merely signal reprieve, but also introspection. In the dim glow of torches, men's voices carried low, weaving stories of battle's exhilaration and the haunting spectre of mortality. It was a time to shed the public mask of invincibility and confront their fleeting existence. Whispering tales by firelight that served as both solace and reminder of their impermanence. These conversations imbued the air with a thick awareness of the thin line between life and the ever-looming embrace of death. Yet despite exhaustion from the sun's brutal march, the luxury of sleep often eluded these warriors. Haunted by dreams shaped by the day's combat, they danced with shadows of past conflicts and future uncertainties. They lay awake, the very barracks that offered sanctuary, also serving as a silent sentinel to their fears and the reality of their dual existence as entertainers of violence. Here, whispers of courage intertwined with a harsh reminder that any story, now vibrant, might conclude abruptly, leaving behind only a hastily carved, ignoble epitaph. The night with its starry canopy became at once a mournful lullaby and a proclamatory pause. The walls of the barracks bore silent testimony to the passage of men defined by scars, physical registers of past battles and narrow escapes. In these marks, gladiators read narratives of their own evolution with a blend of pride and resignation. Under the gentle caress of fading torch embers, they traced these indelible inks on their skin. Each cut bore witness to survival's brutal truth, becoming both badge and bondage. Where others might see beauty, they confronted an unforgiving reality that weighed heavy with the certainty of their servile existence. These marks were chapters in a book of lives surrounding them, whispering an ode to courage, alongside the ever-present struggle for a life unchosen. Beyond the living, the spectre of their comrades loomed large as solemn echoes within cavernous silence. Nightly, the losses loomed, absent friends who had trifled unsuccessfully with the same fate. This was not empty ritual, but a deeply felt memorization of bonds forged through shared trials. Here, fallen lives found immortality in stories shared by flickering flames, each tale a spectral thread, weaving unbroken connections across the mortal divide. As the barrack steeped in quiet reflection, each gladiator felt the raw, unspoken understanding of a shared destiny, the kind described only in silence and steadfast gazes. In silent corners, grave markers rose from the earth, exuding enigmatic reverence and grounding them in their grim reality. These stones, pilfered and recycled, became anonymous testaments to lives absorbed into heritage. Bypassing grandiosity and carved in solitude during fragile, quiet hours, each marker was a vessel of stories hinted at between carved lines. Come daybreak, they stood as reminders that the lives lived within this stone embrace were final drafts in epic narratives, both complete and incomplete. For a gladiator, these stones offered ironical comfort, finality acknowledged on earth, their story continuing in memory's tender binding, until dust reclaimed all. As moonlight bathed the courtyard in a softer hue, a different orchestration played. Rustling straw underscored whispers, the low murmur of voices mingling with pained winces from recent wounds. Amid this symphony, life's persistent pulse mimicked survival's gritty cadence, unfolding in a score uniquely their own. This nightly musicality became both a balm and torment, each sound a sacred litany, whispering possibilities against the confining day's aftermath and the ominous promise of tomorrow's afflictions. Amidst these nocturnal echoes, some sought escape and hope, through letters penned in hurried lines of uneven script. Illuminated by flickering candlelight, these fragile whispers bridged the divide between the world within and life across the veil, maintaining a link with what remained dear beyond sight or touch. Each simple missive contained profound defiance to destiny's narrative grip, asserting fragile control over their wandering fates. Through these exchanges, gladiators penned not merely words, but affirmations that they were more than the arena's spectacle, their humanity reaching beyond the walls of combat's keep. As the last strains of darkness sang softly, anticipation unfurled its canopy, a prelude to destinies grasped tenuously. Not far ahead lay the promise of conflict, anticipation's twin threads nudging them awake under fate's indifferent gaze. Eyes too weary to dream awoke haunted by shades of tomorrow's arena. Yet the tension wove its narrative among them, their bonds cemented in these shared battles. Every breath among those who survived anticipated tomorrow's inevitable dirge, a solemn pact whispered across the halls. The dawn unfurled its fiery banner, heralding the unwelcome morning whistle, life's resounding call and daily ledger. This piercing call marked not just another day, but an act of deferral, an upheld bargain with fate over the currency of time. Each gladiator awoke in its wake, reconciled to their warrior ethos, their bodies weary, yet determined to etch upon destiny's sands another testament of existence. This call was met with resilience born of endurance, minds sharpened not in resignation, but in fierce resolve against the odds of ephemeral glory. Thus, with a flame-like dawn promising rebirth, the gladiators rose, armed with tales of survival inscribed in experience. United by the scars they bore and enriched by the tales they unfolded, they marched from the barracks to face the world's fierce gaze, each footfall inscribing the indomitable rhythm of a life's compelling drama amidst blood and sand. As darkness receded into memory, the day burgeoned with potential, vibrant stories yet to discover. Should the tales seen here move you, dear viewer, to witness further the echoes of history's own telling, remember to honour our shared journey, to like, to subscribe and to join us once again